It was a breezy Saturday afternoon, the kind of day that made you forget about everything else in the world. The sky was clear, the waves whispered onto the sand, and families dotted the shoreline, laughing, playing, living. I had taken my 9-year-old son, Jackson, to Clearwater Beach to give us both a break. Life had been heavy lately. His father and I had finalized the divorce just 3 weeks ago. Jackson hadn't said much since. He was quiet, often staring out the window like he was waiting for something or someone to come back. We set up our spot under a striped umbrella with sandwiches and juice packed neatly in a cooler. Jackson ran toward the edge of the water with his little shovel and bucket. I watched him from the blanket, soaking in the sound of seagulls and the salt-sweet scent of the ocean. I tried to enjoy the moment, but a pang of guilt and sadness constantly lingered. I wondered if I had done the right thing, if Jackson was truly okay. We hadn't talked about the divorce in depth. He didn't ask questions, and I didn't want to push him. But I could see the weight he carried in his small shoulders. About 20 minutes passed when he came sprinting back to me, face flushed, eyes wide, breathing hard. "Mom," he shouted, tugging on my arm. "Come quick. You need to see this." I leapt up, heart racing. "What is it? What's wrong?" He didn't answer, just grabbed my hand and led me down the shoreline, past a group of surfers and a lifeguard stand, to a rocky outcrop near the water's edge. And there, half buried in the wet sand, was a strange, rusted metal box. "I was digging for shells," Jackson said breathlessly, "and I hit something. I thought it was junk, but look." We both knelt. The box looked like it had been under the sand for years. There were faint engravings on its lid. I brushed away more sand. A lock. Jackson already had a small rock in hand and started pounding it with determination. After a few tense minutes and a few scrapes on his hands, the latch broke open with a snap. Inside was a collection of old photographs, a worn leather journal, and what looked like a folded map. My hands trembled slightly as I picked up the journal. The leather was cracked and aged, but it felt oddly warm, like it had been waiting for someone to open it. Jackson looked up at me, his eyes gleaming. "Did I just find treasure?" I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "Looks like you might have." That moment, so innocent, so spontaneous, was the beginning of an adventure that would change both of our lives forever. Over the next few days, Jackson and I became obsessed with the box. We examined the photographs, trying to identify the people in them. There was a young couple in several of the pictures, standing on the same beach we had found the box. The journal was filled with notes, sketches, and stories of a man named Thomas Greaves, a name we didn't recognize. He had apparently lived in Clearwater during the 1940s and 50s and had a passion for treasure hunting. The more we read, the more fascinated we became. Thomas wrote about a hidden cache he had discovered on an unmarked island just off the coast, reachable only during certain tides. He detailed his efforts to map the area and the reasons he decided to bury the box: fear, secrecy, maybe even guilt. He ended one entry with the line, "If someone finds this, follow the map. But tread lightly. Some things are best left untouched." It sounded like something out of a movie, but the map looked real. We scanned it onto my laptop and compared it with Google Maps. It matched a tiny, unnamed speck of land visible only during low tide. Jackson begged me every night to go look for it. I hesitated. I had work, responsibilities. And yet, how often do you get the chance to live a story worth telling? By the next weekend, I had arranged a boat rental. Jackson could barely sleep the night before. He packed the box in his backpack, along with snacks, sunscreen, and 2 bottles of water. We set off early in the morning, just as the sun painted golden streaks across the water. It took us about 45 minutes to reach the island. It was small, covered in palm trees and thick brush. No signs of people, no footprints. Just untouched sand and the endless sound of waves. Following the map, we trekked through the island, each step adding to the thrill. Jackson took the lead, holding the paper map like an old-world explorer. At one point, we reached a tall, moss-covered rock that matched a drawing in the journal. Behind it was a clearing with a lone palm tree that had a strange marking carved into its trunk. "This is it," Jackson said. We dug. And after about an hour, we hit something solid. Another box, this one larger, heavier, and locked tight. Unlike the first one, this had a combination lock. We searched the journal again and found a cryptic sequence of numbers embedded in one of Thomas's last entries. Jackson punched in the numbers with trembling fingers. Click. Inside was no gold, no jewels. But there were documents, old letters, a military medal, a faded newspaper clipping about a sunken ship, and a photograph of Thomas with what looked like a naval crew. The headline read, "Treasure lost with SS Montgomery, search abandoned." We sat in silence, absorbing it all. I realized then that the true treasure wasn't something you could sell. It was the story, the mystery, the adventure. It was the way Jackson smiled with pride, how he held the medal like it was made of diamonds, how for the first time in months, he looked truly happy. When we returned home, we donated the box and its contents to the Clearwater Historical Society. They were stunned by the find and promised to preserve and display the items with proper credit. Jackson even got his picture in the local newspaper with the headline, "Boy finds forgotten treasure on Clearwater Island." He became a bit of a local celebrity. His classmates asked for stories, and even the school principal invited him to talk about his experience. It gave Jackson a sense of confidence and identity he had been missing. And for me, it was more than just a thrilling adventure. It was a chance to reconnect with my son, to help him heal, and to create a memory that neither of us would ever forget. Life still had its challenges, but that one spontaneous moment on the beach reminded me of the beauty and the unexpected, of what can happen when you follow a child's curiosity and open yourself to discovery. Now, every time we walk along a beach, Jackson carries that same shovel and bucket. But more than that, he carries wonder. And so do I.